From conquering the racing world at a young age to dethroning the 7-time world champion, Max Verstappen's tale is as old as time. The up-and-coming star who came and shook the world of F1 became the most talked-out person, and soon he turned into the most hated driver of them all. From his dangerous driving style to his attitude towards his teammates and rivals, love him or hate him, but you cannot deny the raw talent this guy has. And when someone is just too good, it's natural for fans to turn against him sooner rather than later. Now, out of all the young guys on the paddock, sans Leclerc, he is perhaps the most skilled driver of the lot. And his records before he debuted as the youngest driver in the history of the sport speak volumes. From dominating the international karting scene to making his mark in Formula 3, the Dutch driver was destined to be the next big thing. When he took the next big step in his motorsport career at the age of 17, he shook the Formula 1 scene. Unlike many big names, he scored points the same year he made his debut and won his first ever race after a year, becoming the youngest driver ever to do so in the history of the sport. And boy oh boy, who would have thought that this young gun would be the one to crush the dreams of Sir Lewis Hamilton, winning his 8th world title in what was one of the most thrilling seasons in recent times in Formula 1. Now, by that time, Lewis Hamilton was a megastar and the face of the sport, and he had an incredibly loyal and large fan base. But his dominance for 6 years made the sport boring, and fans wanted change. Max Verstappen was the only flicker of hope they had to dethrone Lewis and bring some excitement back to the game. It was because of him that the 2021 season brought new eyes to the sport, and the sport has been on an upward trajectory ever since. But what he stood for at the beginning of his career was no longer the thing, as he became what he destroyed. He won 3 world championships straight, without anyone on the grid posing any challenge to him whatsoever. He has the most single season wins, 19, the most consecutive races won, 10, the most podium finishes, 21, and the largest championship winning margin, 290. These records are enough to assume why fans hate his dominance, the same way they hated Hamilton's dominance throughout these years. Now, he has hate coming from 2 directions. The British megastar's incredibly large fan base accusing him of cheating to strip their beloved of his 8th world title, and the fans who once tuned into the sport to see him do that are now hating him because he's become the next Lewis Hamilton. And every time they watch an F1 race, it's always a one-sided affair with no excitement. Verstappen on the pole and Verstappen for the win, while David Crofty screams at his lungs and tries to keep the fans awake during the races. Now, apart from his incredible consistency, which fans hate, people also hate his aggressive driving style. We've seen this story before in Formula 1. When a guy gets to the top, he'll do anything to stay there. Michael Schumacher's infamous incident against his rival Jacques Villeneuve in 1997 is a classic example of that. And Max Verstappen's past is full of incidents where he risked it all. And not only his rivals, but also his teammates got his wrath. We don't have to go way back in the past, just look what happened at the 2024 Austrian Grand Prix. It was the first year in ages when someone has been able to challenge Max Verstappen's supremacy, and the Dutchman did not like it one bit. When Lando Norris got his first ever F1 victory at the Miami Grand Prix 2024, Verstappen showered praise on Lando Norris and said that if there was someone to defeat him, he would want it to be Lando. But their bromance has suddenly dispersed in thin air after what happened at the Austrian Grand Prix. The pair made contact at the 64th lap of the race, which could have been Lando Norris's second F1 victory.
It's not for me to say, it's for him to say something. I did nothing wrong, he was the one in the wrong, so he's the one that should say something, not me.
Now, this was probably the moment for Max when he realised that Lando Norris was going to take the role he took in 2021 and be the one to topple him, and Verstappen could not see it happening. He was consistently pushing Lando off, and moving after Lando was making his moves, and the GPS trace data showed that he was moving fractionally before he braked. The stewards handed him a penalty for his collision and predominantly blamed him for his collision. This incident has again angered the already frustrated fans who are getting bored of seeing Verstappen win every game. And the hate for Max Verstappen among the fans has gone way up. To put icing on the top, Max Verstappen did not take an ounce of blame for the collision and said it was just a weird angle. Now, it's not the first time Max has gone completely off the rails in the wheel-to-wheel battle. His aggressive driving style is increasingly hated among fans, and the incident at the Austrian Grand Prix was not the last one that we're going to witness in the upcoming races. One of the prominent things that has triggered hate for Max is how he treats his teammates. How can we forget about the Brazil 2022 Grand Prix when Checo Perez was battling for second place? Yes folks, you heard it right, for second place in the standings against Charles Leclerc. And the almighty Max Verstappen did not take a second to not only refuse to let him through, but he also lashed out on his team on the radio and warned them that it was the last time they had said that to him. He said he stood by the reasons he had already given them for not letting his teammate through. Checo has been incredibly supportive of him and has defended him like a lion numerous times in the past to make sure that the Dutchman continues his march towards victory. He was absolutely disappointed to see all that, and why shouldn't he be? And it was not the first time Max had been hated for treating his drivers that way. Remember how Daniel Ricciardo and Max ended up smashing into each other, and how Ricciardo was angry at being the second best driver on the team. Maybe it's Red Bull's fault that they're treating him like some out-of-this-world species who everyone should bow down to. How can he not get hate for that? Now, if you ever heard Max explain himself after a collision that he clearly caused, you would understand why he gets so much hate. He just comes off as rude and aggressive. We saw how he just shrugged off the responsibility of his collision with Lando by saying it was just a weird angle. After stripping Lando of the opportunity to have his second ever F1 victory, you just say that and expect everyone to understand. Remember how he nearly punched Esteban Ocon when they collided in the 2018 Brazilian Grand Prix. When he was a young lad with no titles under his belt, it was just okay for him to go and shove a driver. And now he expects Lando to understand that he encountered a weird angle. How hypocritical could one be? Also, he says a lot of things with a touch of arrogance. He hates the Netflix Drive to Survive series, which is drawing new eyes to the sport. Saying that it's not what he thinks the sport should be gives the impression that he's just trying to be different. His condescending tone and rude behaviour are something that even a new F1 fan would want to hate. So this hatred for Max Verstappen is going to increase. He's given fans enough reasons to hate him when everything around him has gone as smoothly as one could dream. And now the competition on the grid is again getting heated, and Max is going to try every trick in the book to hold his spot on top as long as he can. And this, folks, is going to anger and ignite more hatred among the fans. The Max's hate tour has just begun.